Hello and welcome to another Frenchman Learns About Japan reaction stream, and I guess the branch that is the Otaku stream. I always call it that, but you know, it's not the most accurate. It's really, not the best name, but I really can't think of something better. But yeah, any topic relating to anime, manga, games, maybe seiyuu, potentially idols. Otaku is really a world that can be for a lot of things, as I always say. But I don't have a better name for it, so I think you guys kind of get the general idea of this stream. As always, I put a playlist together with some different channels and some different videos. You'll find the link to all the videos in the description, as well as timestamps if you're watching the VOD. Check them out, of course. And yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, don't hesitate. Videos, subject, channels, really don't hesitate. It would obviously help because I only know so many channels, I've only discovered so many channels, so having you guys, tell me what's worth checking out and also give me ideas for subject would be pretty helpful. But yeah, I think I've got a varied and interesting playlist today, so should be a good one with a lot of interesting topic. At least interesting to me, obviously. I chose them, right? But yeah, also the link to my Discord in the description if you want to follow me, my stream element, Patreon where you can support me, request reaction, the classic. I get a membership as well, you can join, take a look. But yeah, I think that's the gist of it. Yeah. Let's enjoy some interesting topic video. I am, as always, terrible at long intros, so might as well get into it. So yeah, the first one is by the channel KYDB. We've watched quite a few of their videos about mascot and Tuchan. Pretty interesting stuff. And today we have the Bandai Tsundere Fidget toy. Okay, never heard of this. Let's learn about it. Alright. The only fidget toy I've ever had was a fidget spinner. I guess I was caught in the wave of that, and it wasn't too bad. For me it was, I don't know if I'd call it a fidget toy, more of a try not to bite my nails until I'm dead kind of toy. Having something in my hand that prevents me from biting my nails is pretty great, yeah, that was it. Okay, let's watch this. So English to Japanese, where is it? I went too far. Okay,
so what is this exactly? In 2007, Bandai started releasing a series of toys called Mugen ni Dekiru series, which means you can do it forever series. A series of toys that mimic the sensation of things that people just enjoy doing and want to keep doing it. For example, the Infinite Edamame, which mimics the feeling of popping an edamame bean from its pod. Of course, when you talk about edamame, you gotta have beer. So you have the Infinite Beer Can to give you the sensation of opening a can of beer.
Okay, that's actually pretty good, yeah. I love opening my Monster Energy, so I get that feeling.
Other toys are the Infinite Tearing, that mimics opening a box of snacks, the Infinite Tokoroten, that mimics squeezing Tokoroten noodles out of a Tokoroten cutter, and the Infinite Chocolate, that mimics breaking a square of a Meiji chocolate bar.
Okay, but now I want to eat it.
But the very first one that ever came out, and the most popular one, is the Mugen Puchi Puchi, which translates to Infinite Bubble Wrap. So the way Mugen Puchi Puchi works is that you have 8 buttons on its face, and it mimics the sensation of popping bubble wrap.
This is good.
Following the specifications of the actual trade-market bubble wrap by Japanese company Kawakami Sangyo, the size of the buttons and the spacing between them are the same as an actual sheet of bubble wrap. Even the sound that
But how does they even work?
Comes when you press the button is sampled from this specific bubble wrap being.
So you just play a sound, you don't actually pop anything. Yeah. I don't think I know Miki Shinichiro, I mean, the name isn't familiar.
Popped. Now, there is a little special detail on Kawakami Sangyo bubble wrap sheets. 1 in 10,000 bubbles is shaped like a heart. And the creators of the toy wanted to mimic that in a way, so every 100 button presses you get a random noise. A fart, a doorbell, a dog, etc.
Okay.
Now, this toy was quite popular. It took 5 months from its release day, August 8th, also known as Bubble Wrap Day in Japan, to sell.
There's a Bubble Wrap Day in Japan. Gyro Zeppeli in All-Star Battle Game. Okay.
1 million units. Okay, so you have a successful toy, everyone likes popping bubble wrap, so everyone's getting it. What is the next logical step to take? Anime girls, of course!
Let's go.
Mugen Puti 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 Moe. The Moe Anime Girl Bubble Wrap Fidget Toy by Bandai started production and released in 2008. Now, you've seen the title of the video. It is a Tsundere Bubble Wrap Fidget Toy. You might be asking, what is so special about this? It is just a toy that comes with a cute anime girl on the packaging? Not quite. It makes use of the sound system to portray a Tsundere character as you pop more and more bubbles. Every 50 pops, you get a spoken line. It starts with... Next comes... After that we get...
I'm guessing like the more you do it, eventually she likes you or something. You get the delay eventually.
And finally, in the end, we get... That's nice, isn't it? That's a nice tsundere. I quite like that. But there's more! To up the moe factor of the toy, if you stop playing with it and leave it there, after 15 seconds, it plays a line pleading you to pick it up again. Moe,
wow.
Right?
Wow.
And if that voice sounds a little bit familiar, when we talk about...
I was literally about to say that's really Kugimiya, right? I was literally about to say she sounds like Taiga. That makes total sense. That makes 1000% sense. I mean, yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Tsunderes, of course we talk about Kogimiya Rie, who gave her voice to this character. Now, this is...
Now that is big.
Nice and all.
I was literally thinking about Toradora today and how much I like Taiga and how much I like Tsundere, so perfect timing to watch this video.
But what if you don't like tsunderes? What if you prefer something else? Let's say a maid character, a childhood friend character, a little sister character. Yes, they did more than one.
Oh, there's some actual like Keon one. Okay. Oh wow, I kind of want the Mio one. They made some Keon version
Of the toy to widen their target audience of otaku. And of course, every character
Kokodere? What is that?
had their own lines. The childhood friend starts with, next is, afterwards, and lastly, if you leave her for 15 seconds, she says...
But so in the end there's only like 4 or 5 voice lines, that's it? Oh, cool dere, okay. Okay. I see. I haven't heard that term before. Interesting.
And she is voiced by Kogimiya Rie. The maid starts with, follows with, next is, and her last line is, if you leave her for 15 seconds, she says, and she is voiced by Kogimiya Rie.
Wait, she's doing everything? I mean, she's one of a voice actress, ton of range, so fair enough.
The little sister starts with, follows with, third one is...
Imagine being like on the train and you're doing this, and you're smiling while you're listening to your lines.
And the last one is... And if you leave her for 15 seconds, she says... And surprise, she is voiced by Kogimiya Rie.
Damn.
And this is pretty much what the toy itself is. According to an interview with one of the makers of the Mugen Puchi Puchi toys, having Kogimiya Rie, who is known for her tsundere...
What do you want to be called by Muto? I don't know. Bankai is fine.
roles play other type of characters.
I guess it has to be Nichan. Yeah, Bankai Nichan, that works better.
That she's not so used to adds value to these toys. Now, I don't know about that, but these interviews are a bit interesting to me. I don't know about that, but
I don't want to press the button.
these interviews are...
I just want to hear Kugimiya's voice. Same.
Are a bit interesting to me. The reason they added moe to the toy is because they were trying to achieve the ultimate healing. They claim it is not in any way an indecent product, but then they say that there is a sexiness to it that anyone could...
From the start, anyone could kinda notice there's a sexiness to it, isn't there? In terms of the shape and the soft feeling in your hand. What?
Notice? In terms of shape and the soft feeling in your hands.
Oh my.
Okay, I could make a jab at this, but you know what? I'm convinced. And also, the toy Puppet that has a very similar concept, 100% you've seen this before. The idea for the toy was born from when one of the creators dreamed of a large field of breasts.
Wait, I need to read this. She said, Theo, imagine a large field of breasts, ladies' breasts, that you can push the nipple. And it's the woman that came up with this? Okay. I mean... Great.
Ladies' breasts that you can push the nipple. Do a carpet of nipples that you can push from one side to the other.
I mean... I like the idea.
The feeling is universal, I guess. The reason why you get a voice in 50 presses instead of 100 is because of what they call double speed moe. The fleeting voices when you leave the toy alone are to make you pick it up again and become even more addicted and end up with the highest form of healing popping. On another interview, when asked why do people like popping bubble wrap, he says it's human instinct. Like when they see a hole, they want to put their finger in it.
This guy is very horny. I don't think he just wants to put his finger.
Example, but he himself wasn't very keen on moe. Understandable, he is just a toy maker. He did say he wanted a female teacher version of the toy though, so they left all the moe elements to the moe experts. Staff of a now defunct blog hosting website called Anime Shimasenka, they decided the archetypes, the personalities, the...
I mean, they basically just took the most generic definition of like Tsundere, childhood friend. I mean, they didn't really do anything crazy. I mean, it's the most classic line possible.
sentences, and even put in motion advertising websites where you could download wallpapers and visit the characters' blogs. Oh yes, there was blogs. Each character had their own personal blog where almost every day for over a year, they posted in there treating it as a personal diary as if they were
That's crazy. They are small funny balls.
Yo people. And together they had over 1,800 posts. And it is actually interesting to see because it does end up developing the characters. The bubble wrap fidget toy characters. For example, the childhood friend blog who goes by Saya starts with her childhood friend canceling the plans she had with him on Christmas. And she even goes on a rant, like,
少しは私の気持ち分かってほしいな。いつも振り回されるのは私ばっかり。遅刻ばかりするから毎日私が早起きして起こしに行って。
Wait, this sounds really good. What is this? Nurse robot type T? That's pretty realistic text to speech. Type T. What is this? Oh, it's a synthesizer, okay. That explains it. Wait, sounds really good. Okay, okay.
出てるのにちっとも起きてくれないし、起きたと思えばいきなり服を脱ぎ出して私の焦る姿を見て楽しんだり、キスしてくれなくちゃまた寝ちゃうとか、服着せてくれなくちゃ学校行かないとか、いつもネクタイ曲がってるし、ハンカチも持っていかないしと改めて考えるとよく我慢してるな。私、幼馴染じゃなければとっくに見放してるんだけどな。
Later on, there's even a whole Valentine's Day's arc where she plans to confess when giving him the chocolate, sees him with another girl, sees chocolate in his bag, runs away, avoids him for days, and he breaks into her room to explain the situation. Also, she likes cooking 100
Sounds like your typical kind of stupid, main character in this kind of romance stuff.
And shops and sticky foods like natto and okra, which is why her blog link has okra in the name. The maid blog is quite peaceful. The girl who goes by Yukino lives in her master's mansion with her parents who work there. She does perform as a maid, but her main occupation is being a college student. She likes Haniwa statues and is quite clumsy. She does seem to be conscious of her master, but don't think she would be a good match for him due to her position. But you know how it is, it's quite obvious they have something for each other.
This kind of internet stories, I mean, probably. I remember, like, when I first got onto the internet, I was on Facebook, and it was like 2012, 13 maybe, and there was a girl that I was talking to on messages, right? She was living, I don't know, a couple hours away from me or something, so I'd never met her before, I think we had just become friends because of anime stuff or anime profile picture. Back then on Facebook, everybody would add someone with an anime profile picture if you wanted like anime friends or something. And so I was talking to this girl, and she was like older than me or something, but she was really into role playing. So she would sometimes like, ask me to do like role playing chat or something. And it wasn't like always lead one or something. It was just like, I don't know, like relationship role playing as characters or something. And I was, like not a good writer or anything, so like my grammar and my writing was pretty bad. But I remember doing that for like, I don't know, like a month or two. And one day she just, I think, quit Facebook or something, so never talked to her again. But I did a bit of like this kind of like role-playing writing, which was very funny thinking back on it. It's a shame because I can't even find it anymore. It's on a dead Facebook account that I had back then, but yeah, it was funny.
She gives him Valentine chocolate, although he received a ton of them, but she received Haniwa-shaped cookies in return. Handmade. They throw her parents a secret party, he throws her a secret birthday party, and even gives her a jewel, amethyst. In a way, it just feels like we're flirting. Also, it's funny, because the blogs sometimes break the fourth wall and they start talking about the Mugen Puchi Puchi Moe toys. The childhood friend plays with her own toy, and there's also mentions of Otide Mugen Puchi Puchi Wii for the WiiWare, where you can have all of the bubble popping with not much of the satisfaction. But at the very least, there is a Tsundere mode in the game as well.
This is a game?
Okay, this is a thing, I guess.
I like the car design though.
Talking about tsunderes, the Tsundere blog shows that her name is Rin, and she wanted to learn how to use the internet. She meets a boy who she calls that guy, who at first told her to Google it. She didn't understood what that meant, of course, and she kicked him when he explained it. But then he started teaching her how to use a computer properly. Her main objective was to research how to make a picture book, since she really likes them, but she
Wait. Do you need the internet to make a picture book?
keeps the fact that she wants to make one a secret. Most of the blog is lost in time, but there is a really nice arc. She started making a scarf for her dad as a Christmas gift, but she made another one for no reason at all. She was invited to a Christmas party where people would exchange gifts. She was meant to give one to someone she didn't know, so of course, with a spare scarf on her hands, she gifts that person chicken roast, because she would be happy to receive a chicken roast.
Same.
When returning from the party, she by accident sees that guy outside and decides to lend him the spare scarf because he looked cold like a dog left in the rain. So it was from pity and definitely not a gift. And after handing him the scarf, she runs away, but he gets to her and gives her a keychain that for some reason he had one to gift, just like that, and she accepts because it would have been a waste to not receive things given to you, and she starts using it.
Tsundere.
Oh, you. And the interesting thing is, because this is a blog, of course we receive comments, and people played along with it, teasing Rin about everything, and she kept posting these blog posts, as if responding to these comments. It is quite an interesting way to present a story. Personally,
some of the stories really sound like it's someone who wanted to write a original novel or something, but, you know, I guess it's expensive, so you're just doing a blog.
I think it's the first time I've seen something like this. As for the little sister character, she goes by Kosuzu and lives along with her mother. Her father is probably dead, but she doesn't know about it. She blue-screened the computer on her school and starts going to the Oni-chan's house next door to borrow his computer and created a blog for practice purposes. He's not actually her brother, just an older guy who she calls Oni-chan. Now,
Into Chan, many Osan wrote short stories, and I was jerking off with it. Are you sure you wanted to tell me that?
Interesting thing about her Oni-chan is that he's an otaku and she slowly starts getting accustomed to otaku related stuff, though she doesn't seem to understand much. One time she tried playing as a Tsundere, but that was hard, so she planned on becoming a Yandere. When she told her Oni-chan about it,
That feels like it's even harder.
he told her, I would probably be loved to death. And she thinks that's incredible as she doesn't really get it. One time, the Oni-chan has been playing a game he just bought the whole time, and she complains that she wants him to play with her. But then she notes one of the girls in the dancing and singing game has a voice similar to hers.
Is it Idol Master?
So she tries imitating her, going,
I was gonna say it's probably, yeah, it's Yuri, that's what I thought, because it's Lie Kugimiya, yeah, it makes sense.
and this was posted in the same day Idol Master Live for You launched in Japan.
Wasn't this the one that Kentaro Miura was obsessed with? And, you know, people would always joke that, like, he wasn't drawing Berserk because he was playing Idol Master. I think that's the one.
And at one point, her classmate also starts going to his house. It is that sort of setting. But of course, all the blogs stopped updating, and there really wasn't any conclusion in any of them.
That's sad. That's sad.
I guess they decided the campaign was over and just left it like that. Going back to the Moepuchi, this got a prize. First place on the trendy toy category on the first Japan Toy Awards that happened in 2008. But it feels like a team project prize, where the other people do all the hard work, because the prize was given to the whole Mugen ni Dekiru series, including the normal Mugen Puchi Puchi and the Mugen Edamame. In a Bandai document by May 2009, the Mugen Puchi Puchi series was estimated to have sold 2.5 million units, and the Mugen Edamame 1.8 million units. But I don't know what the numbers for the Moepuchi are. In another document, they estimated 300,000 sales in 3 months.
I mean, yeah, I assume like this is more niche, this is for Otaku, and I don't think it would have sold more than the normal version.
But I never saw them boasting about achieving this, so either the numbers are included in the Mugen Puchi Puchi 2.5
Tamagotchi voice reverser, Royal Childhood. I don't know about the voice reverser.
million units, or making this quirky little toy focusing on the otaku and the word moe that was popular at the time didn't turn out as they hoped. What I do know though is some people remember this little toy as a bit nostalgic, and if they find it while cleaning their belongings, they probably play with it a little bit and then never touch it ever again. Because honestly,
I mean, yeah, you're not gonna do much with it.
looking back to everything that I said, this toy is not really that much of a big deal, is it?
Yeah, I'd be bored in like 5 minutes. I mean, I definitely think it's pretty great that they have Lie Kugimiya for this. And you know, hearing her voice a couple times is nice, but yeah, I'm not going to play this for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Okay. Well, that was interesting again. Like, as you said, this isn't really a big deal, but pretty interesting. Never heard of this. I kind of like the concept, which makes me think that like some kind of Moe Tamagotchi would be cool. Like some kind... I guess now you have basically like gacha game that are kind of similar, right? But a Moe Tamagotchi thing where you have like an anime girl that you have to take care of in some way. Could be a good like spin-off, you know. A voice reverser recording tomato sounds automat. Interesting. Never heard of it, but that sounds kind of fun, you know, like the kind of toy that would be fun in the courtyard at recess during school. So good video, yeah. Very interesting toy. I love this kind of video again. Like it's so bloody specific of a thing, but yeah, now I know about it and I like it. Okay, next video is a video I wanted to watch because I don't actually know much about Holoearth, and this is How Hololive Wasted 5 Years on a Dead Game by Red Joker. It's a channel we have watched before, yeah. It's the Holoearth game that they were doing, some kind of like metaverse Hololive game, but I think recently basically Yago announced that it was dead, you know, the project didn't really work out. And for me, I kind of remember like they had like some awesome song and animated PV for it, but I think I barely ever saw any gameplay of it. So yeah, I'm kind of interested in hearing the story because it's kind of like, even though I'm into Hololive, I haven't really looked into Holoearth. So yeah, let's learn what it is and what happened, I guess. Why it was bad and why it died. Let's learn about it.
On May 14th, Cover Corp, the company behind VTuber brand Hololive, suddenly announced that their large-scale metaverse project, Holoearth, would end service in June, quoting a catastrophic loss
3.2 billion yen. Oof.
Of 3.2 billion yen. And as a huge Hololive fan, my first reaction was, wait, it released? Okay, but what exactly is Holoearth? Well, it was a very ambitious metaverse sandbox MMO.
Has there been any game advertising themselves as metaverse that actually works out?
Game like social simulator that tried to simultaneously be VR chat, Minecraft, and a concert simulator. Are you confused?
Yeah, all I remember is like early on there was like the initial PV, which was just like an awesome animation, and then there was a bit of gameplay where like you had like Fubuki like running around in like some like Genshin Impact looking world, building an house and fighting monsters. That's like all I remember seeing of the gameplay.
Good, that was the point. Despite the clusterfuck it turned into, Holoearth really did start as a very promising project with a lot of hype behind it. The hype began in 2021, after Hololive had
never played a metaverse of VR chat thing because I'm commercial. I understand. I did stream VR chat a little bit a couple years ago, yeah.
blown up during COVID, and Cover Corp released the very first revelation teaser of the project. A 30-second 2D
awesome
animated trailer of Hololive's biggest talents, alongside a theme song sang by Mori Calliope, Hololive EN's biggest artist by a long shot. It was simply a project titled Hololive Alternative, with no explanation or footage to what...
Actually, bit of history, but I think this was one of the very first videos I posted on my VTuber reaction channel 5 years ago, yeah.
It was actually going to be. Some thought it would be an anime, a gacha game. Me personally, this shot of Sora gave massive SAO vibes, especially with the final catchphrase, "Hello Alternative World." A few months later, we got the full 1.5-minute trailer with many more characters featured, but still zero explanation as to what Hololive Alternative actually was. Because of the quality of the animation and the scale and possibilities of what was shown, like a billion different settings with the idea of alternate worlds, hype was at an all-time peak with up to 12 million views today. It was only in October, half a year later, where Cover Corp would finally reveal what Hololive Alternative actually was. Holoearth, a metaverse with a sandbox game.
Yeah, I think this is the trailer I remember watching.
A communication lobby to talk to other Hololive fans, and completely customizable avatars. They explicitly said that they wanted to integrate all their sub-projects into this one big metaverse.
Oh, and yeah, I remember this house building, yeah.
Service for fans to enjoy, with only PC release first and 1 to 2 years of total development time. There are multiple red flags here that would go horribly wrong, but I will leave that for you.
It sounds kind of insane, yeah. I mean, they're literally like a VTuber company and suddenly they're gonna make a game and they think they're gonna make a game in just 2 years when there's many actual game company that, you know, it takes them way more years to make a game. Come on.
to guess for now. But one crucial point here is this was all on Hololive Earth's website. No YouTube announcement. I don't even think the Hololive members made any dedicated videos or streams to talk about this at the time. Just their website. So many people, myself included, never saw this announcement, and from the beginning already lagged behind in understanding what this project was actually meant to be. A month later, they had a stream that had multiple members play an early prototype, showcasing the world for the very first time. And it
Yeah, maybe this one I see. Yeah. I mean, this is all like 5 years ago, but I think I remember this.
kind of looked like a Minecraft-esque thing where the members were building houses while collecting materials in the world, along with some basic combat. Let's go over the main few gameplay features. 1. A social simulator. It was supposed to work something like VR chat or Roblox, where you could randomly talk to people real time and socialize in this virtual world. 2. A life/market simulator. You had a completely customizable avatar alongside a bunch of costumes, clothes, and props to purchase or wear. But there was also a marketplace feature, kind of like Roblox, where creators could actually custom design anything and sell them, making premium coins that could be converted into real money. Cover takes a cut, and these merch microtransactions and marketplace was supposed to be the main place where Cover makes their money.
Reminds me of like in a previous Otaku stream, I watched a video about it was some kind of game from Japan from like the late 2000s that had a system like that, where people could make game inside the game. I'd have Roblox maybe if you want, except it was very limited because they had like a very simple coding system, and there was also like a part where artists could make avatars, so a lot of people would make Miku and stuff like that and sell them. But the thing is that no one really cared about like buying the avatars, so all the artists would make them for free, and that kind of killed the game because, you know, in the end there was not really any money being made. But the concept was already there. I think the game was from like 2009 or something.
3. A survival game. There's kind of a survival game similar to Ark. You have to fight monsters, gather materials, build your own house, food and water and such. 4. Concerts and special events. Occasionally, Hololive members do stream themselves in the game with the descent function, as if they were goddesses. Unlike the average player who uses their customizable avatar, the Hololive girls use special models based on, well, themselves. On set specific dates announced in advance, the game holds these festivals where players get to interact with the VTubers.
Kind of like Fortnite,
VTuber
I guess.
goes around the marketplace and buys custom items made by fans, reviews their rooms, takes photos with fans, and streams all of it. Concerts are a different thing. Fans gather in a certain area in this virtual space where concerts are held so they can watch their favorite Hololive members' concerts up front.
I mean, this is a pretty awesome concept, right? I mean, this makes a lot of sense for something like Hololive. It reminds me of like Project Sekai, where you know, there's like concert MV, but you kind of stand in the crowd watching it, and it's kind of cool. Or like people do that in VR chat too, even though there's a limit on how many people can be there.
These are all the features, but keep in mind, at this time, they were still in very early beta, and many of the supposed features like the sandbox world and custom avatars hadn't actually even been implemented yet.
A game with small amount of test players. Many big games make me want to drop thanks to the UI or something a little noisy. Yeah. It's kind of crazy sometimes, like big games, but you just play it and you think, how did, you know, like there was probably like 100% that developed this, and how did no one think this was a bad idea or this was a bad idea?
So they had a long development journey ahead of them. Over the next few months and years, betas were rolled out for players to test, and they went quite heavy on promotion, getting Studio Trigger's Masaru Sakamoto to design the default avatar, all of Hololive's juggernaut musicians to sing a theme song together, and finally, Holoearth held its first proto-live concert by Mori Calliope and Azuki. There were very obvious technical problems because fan demand far exceeded their expectations, and there were glitches. Some people straight up couldn't get in the venue, but at least
I mean, again, like, how does it even work? Because you'd think there'd be like thousands upon thousands of people who want to join, but how much is the limit?
they still had the demand at this point. What proceeded was a long wait. Remember how they said 1 to 2 years of development time? Almost Almost 3 years later in 2024, Cover finally showed off the game at Hololive Expo. You know, an entire con dedicated to Hololive. What did they show off? Concept art and a trailer video. That's it, nothing else. No gameplay testing, nothing. When the expo had other things like meet and greets with the VTubers, a karaoke booth to sing Hololive songs, a bunch of games, and so much other cool things, the Holoearth part just kind of existed. It was nothing in comparison to the scale of the rest of the expo. Yes, there were many betas beforehand, but still, finally, Holoearth released in 2025 April.
So it actually released? I didn't even realize it released. I did not even know.
With even a hype Wit Studio anime trailer. And while the game was praised by critics to be technically impressive, it just kind of existed. It's been way too long since the initial announcement, and fans just kind of accepted it as a thing that existed rather than being hyped for it. In fact, many fans didn't really know what to be hyped for, because the entire concept was very confusing. What was Holoearth supposed to be? They call it a virtual space, but what are you supposed to do in this virtual space? Is it a game? Social media? Concert venue? Eventually, the Hololive girls did actually appear in Holoearth through the aforementioned Descent feature, starting with Tokino Soda and Fubuki. Honestly, it does capture the social aspect of Holoearth pretty well, and it's really cool being able to interact more directly with your favorite VTubers, and seeing them browse your room and buy fans merch is cool as fuck, if it wasn't a clusterfuck of technical issues. One?
I was gonna say, like, it looks really, really, really rough. I mean, I'll be honest, it looks like shit. It really just seemed cheap.
Particular problem was the limit of 50 people per room. Now, even though you see this big open world, because everyone has to be tracked in real time, servers and networks simply cannot handle that many people being in the same space, appearing on each other's screens at the same time. Hence, the dev team put an artificial limit of 50 people per invisible room, essentially
I mean, it makes sense.
secretly segregating people. This is not unreasonable. Even VR Chat, with the years of funding, dev time, and architecture, has a limit of around 80 people per room. However, the problem is that the whole point of Holoearth is for fans to interact with the VTuber girls. But this limit meant that even if a bunch of people were in the same virtual space and attended this virtual festival, only 49 people would actually be in the same room and be able to see and interact with Tokino Sora or any other girl.
Yeah, so then in the end it becomes the same for the concert, right? Like, in the end she's only doing concert for like 50 people when, you know, there's probably like 50,000 people watching on the live stream.
One of the main attractive features is only available to 50 people. And yeah, this problem was reported on Tokino Sola's first Descent, so most fans don't ever even get to properly use this function. Ironically, another technical issue was the PC requirements. Because of this huge world they built with so many features they made, the specs required to even run Holoearth were pretty high. This on screen are the minimum and
Which is crazy because it looks very... It looks like a Switch game, if I'm to be honest, like an early Switch game. Yeah. Minimum recommended. Intel Core i7 8700. 16 gigabytes of RAM? Are they fucking serious? Recommended specs is 16 gigs of RAM. An RTX 2070. Brother, that's something. Minimum is like 8 gigs of RAM, and I guess E5, okay, but you know. Alright. There's no way.
recommended specs for Holoearth. The minimum isn't extremely high, but the recommended specs are easily a mid-tier PC. Not something many people have access to, especially on laptop. Also remember, this did not
Too early
release
for you,
on
man.
mobile. They promised it would come out later. Spoiler alert, it never did. But this was only available on PC. Since their audience was, well, the VTuber watching crowd and not specifically PC gamers, I think it's fair to assume that at least, like, I don't know, 40% of Hololive's audience watched the girls on mobile. By only having it on PC, it essentially immediately alienated a huge portion of their fan base. Many fans couldn't play it even if they wanted to. And speaking of alienating, let's talk about the actual features of the game itself, shall we? This huge world is cool and all, but this is supposed to be Holoearth, right? So, where's all the Hololive? It's very strange.
It just looks like a generic world.
Because Cover Corp literally built up their entire brand identity around Hololive, called their biggest project, specifically about implementing future Hololive activities, Holoearth, then just created a random world with barely any Hololive. This game was supposed to be for Hololive fans. Yes, there are some costumes merged with Hololive member references, but this was supposed to be the Hololive world. The world is instead just full of NPCs in the normal fantasy world. What about, I don't know, specific rooms for fans of specific members, events about members, just, I don't know, I feel like there was so much in the world they could have done.
I mean, I think what I'm getting from all this is that this was all just too ambitious. I mean, they probably had like many ideas that they wanted into one thing rather than make them different projects. And yeah, this ended up being pretty bad. At the same time, you know, while they lost a lot of money and this wasn't a good game and all that, I don't know if you can call it fully a bad thing, because I'm sure they learned a lot from this. You know, maybe they learned how to develop games so they'll be able to make better games. Maybe they learned to focus their project and not try to do something like this, which is way too much. Maybe, we'll see. I mean, hopefully this will be like lesson learned. I think, you know, this was the first time they tried to make a game themselves, right? I mean, they were a VTuber company, so I think I can give them a bit of a break, you know, if they learn lesson from this. Obviously, like, all of the big Hololive games have been fan games. Cover Corp themselves, they've never done a game before, so yeah, hopefully this will teach them something, you know.
Done to implement Hololive to appease Hololive fans and just didn't, which kind of goes against the entire purpose of making a Hololive world in the first place. Like, people playing this game are going to be Hololive fans. They will be inherently looking for Hololive stuff. Building this technically impressive but random ass world, it almost feels like they're targeting the wrong audience. And speaking of the audience, then we also have the concert viewing feature. Essentially, at certain set times, for a price to purchase the ticket, as you would purchase a normal concert ticket, you could watch some of the Hololive girls' concerts in Holoearth. As in this virtual world, you could view the VTuber doing the concert from any angle in the audience.
I like the idea. I mean, this is the one good idea of all this. Everything else I feel like meh, but this is a good idea. So yeah, again, maybe this idea they could actually try again, but rather than make like this idea part of a game with a bunch of other stuff, just make it like a separate game or app that's literally just about, like, you know, watching the concert in first person or something. This could be cool.
The main problem was that while cool in concept, doing this was fucking difficult. I mean, in this venue, you couldn't fit more than like 100 people. So again, people got separated into different rooms, and the whole point of doing this, you know, the social aspect of idol fans screaming and enjoying a concert together completely crumbles. I'm sure they also faced many other issues, like even getting it to run properly, because after the prototype live they did back in the beta, Holoearth never again had a live performed concert. Only watch-alongs of previous lives or pre-recordings. This one prototype was the only live one. They faced major technical issues back then because of too many people trying to watch at the same time, so I can only assume this to be the reason. It's a very cool idea, but obviously if you're just doing watch-alongs of old lives once a month, it's not really gonna go anywhere. Now, the descent and concert features are cool and all, but these are time-limited events. Girls are doing this probably once a month at most, if even. So what do fans play in the rest of the time? Good question! No one knows. This is one of the biggest reasons for Holoearth's ambition. They tried so hard, burnt so much money to build this super ambitious world with so many features and areas, yet in these many years, nobody stopped to think about what their goal actually was. Like, what were fans supposed to do in this space? The survival and open world game mechanics were
Proseka become bigger and bigger.
shallow compared to, say, Ark. It's not as good of an architectural game as Minecraft, and the social aspect and
I mean, what is?
avatar customability were just an inferior VR chat, something people had been using for years at that point and had gotten used to already. They built such a big open world that looks so cool, with so much to see, but nothing to do. I literally mean it, there's nothing to do. There are barely any people to talk to. The minigames like poker in this casino don't save progress, so playing it feels meaningless. And you walk around this entire giant city with the venues and think, like, am I supposed to do anything in this city? Nothing? Yago, the CEO of Cover himself, admitted this to be the reason of Holoearth's failure. Over-ambition. That we crammed in too many elements. Doing lives, doing games, etc. If we had narrowed it to just the live segment, it may have succeeded. And this explanation makes a lot of sense. All of their previous problems mentioned were due to over-ambition. They wanted to build a world where fans could all together, in real time, interact with their Oshi, when the technology today is nowhere near enough to support this. They wanted to build a...
And again, from a company that's not a game-making company, this was their first game, and yeah, just too much.
grand world for Hololive fans to do everything Hololive in this world, but got lost in the sauce and just made a giant empty world and an inferior version of 3 other kinds of games. And this even made the game itself super technically the version of 3 other kinds of games.
But at the same time, you can see the idea, right? I mean, Hololive members love Ark and they love Minecraft, so they tried to make their own version kind of thing, yeah?
And this even made the game itself super technically demanding, which I suspect is the reason it never released on mobile and further alienated their audience. The technical issues even single-handedly restricted what was supposed to be Holoearth's defining feature, as a virtual world for VTuber fans, socializing about VTubers and watching their concerts together. They couldn't do it properly, the technology wouldn't allow it, and they failed to see that. Yeah, they were cooking with the idea, it would have been super cool, but it just was not feasible. In the end, just 2 weeks ago, on May 14, 2026, Cover announced the shutdown of Holoearth to be on June 28th with a loss of 3.2 billion yen, selling of microtransactions.
Really like too big shutdown. I mean, basically Other Stars is, you know, shutting down almost. I mean, there's still a few members, but you know, majority is gone now. And this project, yeah, big mistake. I mean, that's why Yago basically decided to become the leader again, trying to fix things. Hopefully things will get better, yeah. But the news isn't too great recently.
Seized immediately, refund applications were offered, and as a consequence, Yago, alongside the CTO and other directors, agreed to take a pay cut to take responsibility. Yago himself admitted that this project's over-ambition had also caused talents to be overworked, as they had to deal with their regular streaming stuff alongside whatever new Holoearth stuff they were given, and with not enough time to plunge content into Holoearth, it led to its failure. He also admitted that he should have personally led such an important project for the company. What I think is very interesting is that Yago sees this more as a project failure, something Cover failed to do well, rather than the failure of the metaverse market, claiming that games like VRChat and Roblox have been seeing record numbers. On the other hand, we've seen Meta's catastrophic $80 billion metaverse failure. So maybe the idea was simpler than all these companies had imagined. At the end of the day, maybe people aren't looking for some groundbreaking SAO new world level of shit, but just an easy and comfortable space to socialize and play shit after work or school. Maybe it really was that simple, and Cover, just like Meta, overshot whatever they were going for. With the upcoming game Hololive Dreams, it does seem like they're going for the much safer gacha game option that people have literally been asking them to do for years. It greatly involves the Hololive girls, and the scope doesn't seem too crazy, so I can only hope they've learned from this expensive lesson and Hololive Dream succeeds. Hey look, what can I say? I'm a Hololive fan too, I want to see them succeed. Special thanks.
I mean, yeah, okay, I get a bit of an idea of things. That kind of explains why I really just remember hearing about it around when it launched and kind of nothing since then until now that it's basically shut down. That kind of explains it. It really wasn't anything great. I mean, again, you know, as much as I like Hololive, they're obviously not perfect, we all know that. The recent stuff with Other Stars is a great example. So, not surprised again, yeah, they were definitely way too ambitious with the whole game project again. you know, it's a shame. I think a lot of people will say like they should have spent that money on trying to make all the Star work better, or you know, they should have spent that money on making like other things for like Hololive itself that made more sense. But again, I guess, you know, I'm not a chill for companies, so don't take it that way, but I hope that they can learn lesson from all this, that, you know, even though it's a waste of money and time, that at least some lesson were learned, and it means that they'll make better decisions later on what kind of game they make and stuff like that. Yeah. I hope so. Like, potentially, like, an even better idea is to just, you know, like, rather than spend money trying to make your own game, this sort of, like, ultra passionate fan project. So just make, like, an Hololive publishing kind of branch or something, and start buying and funding some of the side projects by people who are making really good stuff. Like, that could be a thing to do, you know, so they could publish, like, stuff like Otaku and all of the awesome fan game. I don't know. Just an idea, you know. Just an idea. Okay, interesting video. Now I know about it. Now I know about this mess. It's something. Next we have Hatsune Miku's creepiest fan. Okay. By the channel Eve-chan.
Hatsune Miku is considered one of the most famous Japanese characters to exist in the 21st century, and it's not really a surprise considering how she has impacted not only music culture, but pop culture, anime, and as someone who was introduced to Hatsune Miku in the early 2000s on YouTube watching a concert of her iconic song, World Is Mine, I definitely can see the hype behind such an incredible character who can be molded to any type of personality or song that you see fit to add to her and to create with her image. Now, if you have been living under a rock and you don't know who Hatsune Miku is, that is totally okay. I will quickly explain. Hatsune Miku is a Vocaloid software, a voice bank that is artificially created and can be used
we could skip that part, I guess.
Japanese Vocaloid. Miku was being created, and they designed Hatsune idol around time that we always want, and this is not a fun way to create pretty quickly from not only the famous producers creating songs with her, posting videos, and while singing it, not a real public with her. Now, one of the reasons that she did become so popular was because of the collaborative ownership. Because Miku didn't have an official backstory, she was just this character literally created as a blank slate. People could have their own song or their own image for her.
I think she did actually have like a little bit of backstory, but most people don't know about it, and I think I had read it once, but I forget what it was.
Wanted her to be, which made her into this kind of like internet-owned original character that we hadn't really seen before, because usually when you have a favorite anime character or a favorite character from a game or a series, they already have a pretty intricate backstory. So to have a character where her backstory literally does not exist is insane, and it obviously allows for complete unrestrained creative freedom. Krypton pioneered this insanely cool 3D holographic projection technology in order to have Miku perform concerts worldwide, cool, yeah. Which would involve sold-out arenas in not just Japan, but other countries across the world, with her performing these unique one-of-a-kind songs. Obviously, this popularity has not died down at all in the future, as I can guarantee if you go to any figure shop in Akiba or in Japan in general, you will see a Hatsune Miku figure. She has so many different figures, so many different merchandise pieces, probably the character with the most figures to exist ever. Quote me if I'm wrong. If you don't know what Yujoshi is, it's essentially someone who ships himself with a fictional character. So someone who sees a character and they think, okay, I really love this character, I really have feelings for them, and so they ship themselves with that character. But there's also Yume Danshi, so literally dream girl.
You don't really hear about Yume Danshi as much. I mean, I'm sure there is some, right? But yeah, it's interesting. I've never really felt like that. I mean, I've really liked some character, right? I was really obsessed with Olo from Spice and Morph when I was young, but I don't know if I would say like I ship myself with the character, you know what I mean? Though there's some people out there, like some artists who do that. There's some artists who always draw like an OC of themselves with their fan art of the character, and it's kind of funny sometimes. like years ago, I remember there was one guy who was really into Nami, and so he would always do a fan art of a Nami, but always with like a guy, and the guy was him, and it was like this different art style looking guy, right? It was really funny.
Or dream boy, people who are fans who basically self-insert themselves dating fictional characters. You could also call it yume ship or yume shipping, which essentially like yume means dream, so it's basically like a dream pairing of yourself with the character, and essentially these people ship themselves with either a OC that they have made up, or they have their own OC of themselves with the character with another fictional character. Obviously in the West we have the self-insert idea where we can imagine ourselves as the main character, where all of the other characters in the series are magically in love with us, and even proper professional games in Japan have these themes such as diabolical lovers, diabolical storyline mind you, because I swear all of these guys are related somehow, so that's a bit weird. But anyway, off topic, the majority of these games, the character does look pretty plain, so that you can implement your own persona and your own look onto.
Talked about it before, and it's not just into like, you know, eroge, dating sim and all that, right? Even in normal like games like JRPGs and stuff like that, 90% of the time, because I still think there's some case where it's interesting, but 90% of the time I just hate those kind of blank slate characters that are meant to be, you know, that are often like voiceless, and, you know, it's supposed to be you, or for you to be a self-insert or something. I really dislike that. I much prefer when the character I'm playing as is an actual character with an interesting personality, not someone generic to be kind of a blank slate for you to drive. I mean, even in the genre of like dating sim, I don't know. It just feels like it makes it less interesting most of the time, you know.
Now, some of the most popular activities for people who are yumejoshis or yumedanshi is collecting merchandise. Obviously, collecting a lot of merchandise of your favorite character is one of the most popular pastimes for people who love a character, whether that is platonically because they see that character as just their favorite, or if it is romantically and they ship themselves with that character. Oshikatsu, which is again doing activities related to your oshi. And if you don't know what that word means, it's basically your favorite person, your favorite idol, your favorite character, your number one. And when it comes to oshikatsu, there are so many different things you can.
Which again, like, if you know you're just a fan of hatsune Miku, it's not as bad as covering your room in like, I don't know, Takahashi, the first actress or something, right? So, like, that's a whole different level of a bit yabai. I feel like if it's an anime character, you know, it's a bit weird, but it's a bloody anime character. But if it's like a real artist or something, it's, yeah, I don't know. I've never really thought about doing that myself. I mean, I used to have a room covered in like anime posters, but it was varied, right? So I've never thought about like covering everything with one character, even though there's some character I absolutely love, and I guess I wouldn't really mind doing it, but I think I more prefer the variety of, you know, many anime posters and stuff of different stuff I like, I guess.
Do, but usually it is going to a cafe, bringing acrylic stands or bringing keyrings, bringing plushies, and essentially showing your love for that character through your outfits, through your purchases, through buying cakes for them on their birthday, from doing roleplay, commissioning fan art of you and that character. And I would say that oshikatsu is a really great way to express your love for a character, and especially for marginalized groups such as people who are queer, LGBTQ, it means that they are able to express their love for the same gender without feeling as much discrimination or oppression, because in Japan I feel like it is in general easier to say, oh, I have a crush on this really beautiful...
Is that really a connection? I guess.
Girl character than to say, actually guys, I'm just gay. And that is sadly the truth with Japanese media, is that for people who are queer, for people who are presenting as LGBTQ, not straight basically, it's easier to present yourself this way than it is to present yourself as just gay. And obviously because of how popular...
Really? Like, maybe. I was gonna say, like, I feel like people would look at you, like normal people, if you want, in quotation, would look at you weirder if you're like celebrating the birthday of like some anime girl with buying a cake and putting figures of her, rather than just saying I like girls. I don't know.
fandoms and this otaku culture is, it means that some people can take it a lot further, such as marrying their favorite fictional characters, which brings us on to the topic of today's video, which is a man called Akihiko Kondo who married...
I see, okay, I think I've heard about this before. I see. I did not realize because the video is called The Creepiest Hatsune Miku Fan, and because I've heard the story before, I feel like this is probably like not that bad. So I thought you would talk about something else, okay. I mean, I don't know the full story, so why not, but is it really that creepy? Like, it's a bit weird, he has like a, you know, doll version of her, but, you know, as far as like depravity goes, this still feels like, you know, like an iceberg, top of the iceberg, I guess. In France are gays. Fine, I think. I don't think people care that much, yeah. I mean, sure, some people care for sure, but for the most part, I don't think, like, you know, I'm not saying we're like a very ultra-tolerant country, but yeah, I don't really think people care that much. Well, again, it depends who, but I've never really met someone who's like, well, outside of my dad, who was a piece of shit, I've never really met someone who was, you know, like, constantly, like, you know, against it or something, you know?
Married Hatsune Miku in 2018, and he held an unofficial wedding ceremony where he wore this very smart suit. And
this happens all the time these days. Like, it's such a weird name. I saw someone, like some girl married Kiryu from Yakuza recently. Okay.
he brought a plushie of Hatsune Miku to represent her to the wedding ceremony. And looking at this ceremony, actually at the time, I thought this was one of the coolest things because I was like, this is so cool. Like seeing someone marry an anime character, it was a lot less normalized than it is now. Even now, it's still very bizarre to people, but there are...
He is spoken ill of by some Miku fan. I mean, again, like I feel like it's not a big deal, you know? In one side, you could say the guy has some mental issues, but if this makes him happy, you know, who cares?
A lot more people doing it nowadays, whereas back then, it was definitely a shocking and rare thing.
Okay. The guy has a VR headset, I guess, to see his way through. And some girl is like, I guess this is like kissing or something? Okay. I'm laughing because it's funny, not to mock them.
What I want to criticize is including people in something that they do not consent to, because this man has come under fire for bringing an adult doll of Hatsune Miku to a children's playground. And this is where I feel like we need to talk about where fiction can affect reality. This man, he is pretty famous online for marrying Miku. In fact, I'm pretty sure that their ceremony has gone viral countless amounts of times throughout the years. Both in Japan and across the world, and for the most part people are pretty positive because his story is pretty sad. He experienced workplace bullying where an older woman bullied him and that made him feel very insecure. He talked about how as a kid he would be rejected a lot and that made him also feel pretty terrible about his self-esteem, and so he realized that he was fictosexual. Now if you don't know what fictosexual is, it is someone who is attracted to...
I mean, I get it, but I'd never heard the term before. Yeah. But then, like, most people who enjoy lewd art of anime characters, does that make you fictosexual? Or is it only if, like, it's not because you're on it, it's because you're in love? Is that what it is?
Fictional characters, and they can have romantic relationships with fictional characters, and these people, it's like a...
I mean, I guess there's a lot of people like that now with the AI chatbot, right? There must be like a lot more people doing that now than ever. Like I keep seeing the news about like someone who was in love with an AI chatbot, but then they like updated the code or something, and the character really changed or something, and so the person is really sad or like suing the company or something. I mean, again, on one side, like, I don't really mind that much, but on the other side, it's definitely, like, a big problem of mental illness to an extent, or maybe not mental illness, but, like, self-esteem and a lot of, like, mental issues that, you know, someone needs, like, some kind of help with to reconnect with humanity. I mean, is that a bad thing to say? Like, on one side, I don't mind it again, but you can't say that it's, like, you know, something that's not the result of someone not getting help for like all of their trauma and issues. I've been scared of Oshikatsu people making their rule to protect them and bash others. Like cosplaying outside is a sin, but lining up at acrylic stand in restaurant are okay. Yeah, that's weird.
Subcategory apparently of asexuality. So some people experience attraction on different levels, where some people who identify as fictosexual, they will also experience attraction for humans, like real people, and some people don't experience any attraction to real people and only experience attraction to fictional characters. So there is a real spectrum about it, and there's a lot of different people who fall into this category. And again, this is not me criticizing those people. I think if it makes you happy and it's not hurting anyone, I don't care. This is more about how you go about it in real life. I don't know, Golden Week...
Again, like... Yeah, I've already made my point, I guess.
It's a huge holiday in Japan. It is a national holiday. You get about a week off, which is very long for Japan because we don't get big holidays here. And people can basically go out, party, have fun, do whatever you want. So a lot of people will go to the park, they'll relax, they'll spend time with their family. And so Akihiko, he decided to go to the park with his life-sized Miku doll and take photos of her in the children's playground. And this sparked a huge controversy. Of course, his rebuttal to this was...
Obviously, like, yeah, this is like the double-edged sword, right? If you say you're okay with him, you know, like, you understand and accept him really thinking that Miku is his actual wife, then this isn't weird. I mean, he didn't take a sex doll to the park, he took his wife to the park. Like, if you genuinely accept it, right, you see it like that, you can't tell him to, like, you know, be logical about it if you're willing to say that, you know, it's okay for him to genuinely think Miku is his wife. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Saying that there weren't any kids around, but I find that very difficult to believe considering that it is Golden Week, it's a national holiday, and this is a public playground where kids are going to be running around no matter the time of day, because of course kids wake up early. So I was definitely concerned by this, especially because not only was he bringing this doll out, this adult doll, but he also had her dressed in...
But is it an adult doll? I mean, it might just be an actual, like a regular doll. I mean, did it say he's like banging the doll? Like, it could just be like a normal, like just a life-size figurine, basically.
A school uniform. Now, as someone who is a doll collector, of course, a lot of people said to me, what's the difference between bringing a normal doll and an adult doll? And I hope I don't have to explain in graphic details the difference between a normal doll and an adult doll, but there is a...
I mean, people are still gonna bang your normal doll. Like, you know, but I get the point.
Huge difference. A normal doll is age appropriate. It's not something that has, you know, certain features that I'm not going to say on this video because I don't want to get demonetized, but it's created for display, it's created to look cute, it's created for aesthetic purposes or to play with. A adult doll may also have the creative details that are meant to be aesthetic or meant to be cute, but it also has aspects that means it is created for adult purposes, which means that it should not be around children. And I have to wonder if this doll looked less cute if it was a blow-up doll, because that is essentially what this is. Would people be having the same defenses for this?
Again, like, she's not really explaining, but, like, has it been confirmed that it is, like, an actual sex doll? I feel like we don't know. I mean, it being life-size doesn't mean that it is one, right? There's a bunch of life-size doll figurines and all that are like, yeah, just like an actual figurine, basically. No?
This man, because I feel like half of the people defending him are only doing so because the doll is aesthetically cute to look at. If he was walking around with a blow-up doll of Hatsune Miku, I'm sure we wouldn't be saying the same thing. And that is where I have to say, it is the same thing. Even if it is super cute, even if he sees it as his wife, it is still an adult toy. It is no different from bringing a other type of adult toy to a kid's playground, and therefore it is inappropriate. But
I mean, again, my only contention is like, are we sure that it is one? I don't know.
find it concerning that he specifically chose a children's playground, because there are
Sure.
so many different places he could bring an adult doll in Japan. There are so many different adult-based conventions that you can bring adult goods to, or you can dress in adult attire if you're into things like that, you know, adult like R18 hobbies. There are a ton of different events in Japan for this stuff, probably more than any place in the world. So it was just very bizarre that that is specifically where he chose to bring her. Not
I
only
guess so.
this, but he also owns a ton of different Miku merchandise. I looked at his profile because I was curious if he owned any other Miku merchandise that he could bring to the playground instead. And whilst I still think it's a little bit weird having a something like 40-year-old man going to a kid's playground by himself, I think it would still be better if he just brought like a small doll to the playground to represent her. And I wouldn't see that as harmful, because at least it's not an inherently small object. It's a cute doll, which are age appropriate. They're not going to harm anyone by seeing them. Why don't you bring those out in public?
But again, by the same logic, like, you don't know what he's doing to that doll. I mean, you know, if he's banging the big doll, you have no way to know that he's not also horny for the small doll. I'm sorry, but like, by that logic, you know, they shouldn't bring anything outside, because, you know, if he's actually doing stuff with his dolls, I mean, it's the same.
Instead of the adult Miku doll. And that makes me think he is trying to get people to unwillingly participate in his. Whether he likes it or not, that is what he's doing. When it comes to these types of things, it is all about consent. Children cannot consent. Children cannot consent to seeing this type of thing. They shouldn't have to see this type of thing. It's inappropriate. And for adults as well, adults shouldn't even have to see this stuff if they don't want to. It's fine if you're an adult.
In the end, I really don't mind. Like, I don't know. I guess the children playground part is the weird part, but his doll looked very normal. It didn't look weird, so I don't know. Like, it's no different than a cosplayer going outside in Miku outfit to me, because it's a proper looking Miku design with no lewdness or something. So like, I don't know. The only problem is like going to a children place. Yeah, I guess fair enough. That's the weird part. Yeah.
Related space, for example, if he was at an adult-related convention or event, that would be totally fine. But to bring this doll out in public and make people look at what is essentially a toy in public.
But is it? What is your... Like, again, maybe she knows more than me. Maybe the guy did say that it is one, but like, is it? Is there something that confirms that? I want to know. I don't know. That's like the one thing that bothers me, because again, like, it could literally just be a normal big doll and not a lewd one. From the outside, it doesn't look one, but obviously we're not looking under the skirt, but you know, I don't know.
Is completely inappropriate, and I think it's really nasty and quite narcissistic actually to assume that people should have to participate in your delusion just because you claim it's your wife.
But again, like, if we're okay with him marrying her, like, by that logic, you know, it's not surprising that he would do stuff like this. I mean, if he's that deep into this delusion, of course he's going to like take at his doll like it's a real person and not think anything is weird with it.
Because yes, it's totally fine if you like a fictional character, if you're attracted to them, as long as you're not hurting anyone, but you are hurting people because you are exposing children to an adult thing which they should not be seeing. But the reason he dresses her in school uniform is actually worse than I expected, because I was half assuming he would say, oh, it's just because it looks cute, whatever. The reason is so specifically creepy that it made me very uncomfortable to read. So he actually wrote a tweet about the reason he dresses his Hatsune Miku adult doll in school uniform. He says, my junior high school uniform for girls was a jumper skirt, but back then when I was in junior high, I was only interested in real women, so when I suffered from being constantly rejected when I confessed my feelings, I hugged Miku wearing this outfit, and I remember feeling like the wishes that had gone unfulfilled in the past had been transformed into two-dimensional reality and finally come true. So the reason that he dresses her in a school uniform is because he was rejected by his crush when he was like a teenager, a very young teenager in school, and this was the school uniform that his crush would wear. So by dressing this doll in the school uniform that his crush would wear, he is giving himself a chance to not be rejected by the crush by hugging this doll, wearing the school uniform from when he was a child and this girl was a child, which is so unbelievably creepy that you as an adult man would do that. Like I don't even know where to begin with this one. It's crazy to me. It's crazy that you would even...
I mean, again, the guy married Hatsune Miku, like, you know, none of this is that surprising. Like, he is not of a well mental state.
I think that that's a justifiable explanation. I would always get crushes all the time. I got rejected.
What do you expect logic from the guy?
Hold on to
Seriously,
that feeling of rejection,
he married Hatsune Miku.
and I create adult dolls wearing the same outfit that they wore. No, I would not do that, and if I did, I would probably get locked up in a mental asylum, and I would not even blame them, because that is crazy. That is a crazy thing to do. And this is not where this problem ends, because actually it turns out that Akihiko has a problem with bringing this adult doll to various spaces. He has not only...
Most look at it P as creepier sensation against Miku? What do you mean?
Only brought her to the playground, but he has also brought her to Disneyland and also to a...
Well, yeah, if he's not scared to bring this to the playground, yeah, he's bringing her anywhere, obviously.
A lingerie store. Now, I don't think I have to explain why bringing an adult doll to Disney...
It really shows that, like, again, you'd think someone like him would be very shy and scared of making such a scene outside, but at the same time it shows that he's really fully in this belief of being, like, the husband of Hatsune Miku, that is willing to, like, overcome the awkwardness of bringing this outside, while, yeah, I guess it really shows that his delusions are, like, full and is genuine about it.
Is wrong, and it makes his point about saying, oh, there were no children at the playground, completely meaningless, because he's bringing the adult doll to places where there's going to be thousands of children, and there's no way to avoid these children seeing the adult doll. And then when it comes
I'll
to
say it again, is it actually an adult
again,
doll? Like, how do we know? Did he say that? I don't know. Like, I'm sure that for life-size dolls, there's some non-lewd one, right?
I know some people might disagree with me, but I think if you're going to go to a lingerie store as a man, the way that he is like a dude, I think you need to have a level of respect for the women and feminine presenting people who are shopping there, and you need to make sure that you're not making them feel uncomfortable. And bringing an adult doll to a lingerie store where women might be shopping alone, there might be young women shopping with their mums or whatever, that is so unbelievably inappropriate.
This time I have nothing to say that is weird.
And insensitive to the people around you. I cannot understand the thought process, especially considering he could just order the underwear online.
I was about to say,
an adult doll.
But again, the guy has crazy delusion. I mean, you know, it's genuinely mental illness at this point, and you know, what he needs is a therapist, not to marry Hatsune Miku. Yeah. Clips of tweets that are vocally P love Miku lunatically. I mean, I can see that. Obviously, like a lot of vocally P, you know, they live by Miku, right? I mean, it's the main way they make their song, and it's a big reason for their popularity, and you know, and all that. So I can understand getting obsessed.
It's not going to change its measurements. It's made out of plastic or whatever. Like, it will not change its measurement. You could just measure the doll and order the lingerie online, and it's going to match the doll. Like, you don't need to go in person. And even if you did, it brings up the question of, why do you need to do that? Is it so that you can get the shop assistants to measure the doll, which is so...
Which, now that she mentions that, yeah, like, now I think, yeah, maybe it's a fetish part thing. Like, he wants people to see it. Maybe he has, like, a humiliation kink or something. Yeah. Or, like, going to the shop with the doll for, like, you know, woman clerk to, like, help him with the underwear stuff is also maybe, like, some kind of seeing, yeah. Now I can see it. Now I definitely can see it.
Appropriate? Is it so that you can show off to people? Again, it really makes me feel he is doing this to make people participate in his in his obsession, and it's not kind to the
I mean, I can't imagine like working at a clothing store and some guy with his Miku doll comes in and asks me to help him pick underwear or something. I mean, I don't think I would like throw him out because, you know, I don't know if it's really like an offense to throw something out, but it's also like probably not a situation that, you know, you have any guideline for. Like your boss didn't tell you, you know, throw someone out if they come with a doll or something.
People around him. It's very selfish. And again, I want to say, there wouldn't be a problem if he bought this lingerie, if you buy it online, do whatever you want in your house, I don't care. But the fact that he is bringing this doll and putting it around women who are not consenting to seeing this is insane. I also want you guys to consider the fact that with Disney, there are going to be face characters at Disney. So kids are expecting to see characters such as princesses or to see...
I was gonna say, like, wouldn't Disney be mad that you're bringing another IP to their place, yeah?
Like Mickey Mouse or whatever. So when kids see Hatsune Miku, they'll just think, oh my god, it's Hatsune Miku, and they'll go up to her. And when their parents have to explain why they can't take a picture with her or why it's inappropriate for them to be around her, I just can't help but feel awful for the parents having to deal with this, like having to see this and like try and keep their kids from...
But genuinely, I mean, I keep making this point like I'm a broken record, and maybe, you know, that makes me a creep too, but it looks like a normal doll. Like, I don't know, if I see it in the street, my first instinct is not this is a sex doll. It just looks like a normal life-size doll, which, you know, I'm sure there is some that are not like, you know, meant to be used that way. Some say transgender people enter the shop, so I don't know where's justice. I mean, I don't see the relation with the doll, I guess.
Going up to this doll, because of course kids are curious, they're going to wonder why this man is allowed to have this massive doll and they can't. So
they can, because I'm sure there is some non-lewd one.
It brings a lot of concerns into my...
Okay, I have to look it up. Life-size Hatsune Miku. Cardboard, yeah. No. Doll, maybe? Let's see. Life-size Miku doll. Yeah, I mean, damn, just $40? Wait, no, this must be small. Here we go, someone on the Vocaloid subreddit. Yeah, I don't know, I mean, it looks like a normal doll. Alright.
Head, and again, I don't know why he couldn't just bring...
I'm not trying to defend the guy, by the way, like, again, I think he's mentally ill, and obviously he's doing a lot of creepy stuff. So it's just the thing with the doll, again, like, because it looks like a normal Hatsune Miku design and not lewd at all, I mean, I don't know.
A smaller doll that is not an adult doll. To make matters worse, he never necessarily thinks he's doing anything wrong. He actually defends his actions by saying, is it otaku shouldn't show up in public? There is a history of excluding people based on specific attributes such as race, ethnicity, gender, especially women.
Was going deep with this.
Religion, nationality, hobbies and preferences, sexual orientation, beliefs, etc. from the public sphere, and unjustly infringing on their rights. Some of those are documented in textbooks as discrimination or persecution. How long will humans keep repeating this? Difference between that and what you're doing is that what you're doing is a doll that is inherently used for purposes, and it does really bother me that he compares himself to...
I'm just gonna assume, okay, I'm gonna stop saying that. I'm gonna assume that if she's saying this, she's sure that it is one. Like the guy said it or something. I'm just gonna assume she's right. So, yes, then it's bad.
people who have been discriminated based on their race, gender, because these are all things that people cannot control. You cannot control the fact that you're born a woman, or the fact that you're non-binary, or the fact that you identify as trans, or the fact that you, I don't know, are black, or anything like this. These are all things that we are born with, whereas with him, he could easily choose to not bring an adult doll. He could bring a small doll, he could bring a plushie. He doesn't have to bring this adult doll. So his point is completely meaningless, because the reason he's being discriminated against is because he's doing something that is harming other people. If he was walking around with a Miku plushie, it wouldn't be to the same level, and I think that he knows this, and that makes me think that he's doing a lot of this for attention and clicks and views. And he does consider himself a feminist, only because he sees himself as discriminated against the same way as women are. Which recently he actually did attend a wedding for his Yumejoshi friend who got married to a fictional character recently.
Okay. That looks so goofy. Wait, so he took his like doll, but she has only like a cardboard cutout.
For his Yumejoshi friend
who
got married to a fictional character recently, and I would say that this is a great example of a place that it doesn't really matter if he brings the adult doll, because he's...
Are you sure? Tell that to Christians, I mean, and the religious people, like this guy's bringing a sex doll into a church. I think they'd be pretty mad.
Asked this woman if he's allowed to bring the adult doll Miku to the wedding, and she said yes, and they're obviously friends, and I think this is a great example of, yes, he asked for her...
I mean, she asked her, but did he ask the cameraman? Did he ask the priest? Did he ask the staff at the place? Probably not.
Consent. But he's not asking for the consent of the people in the park when he goes to the playground, or the people at Disney. So to me personally, I feel like this shows that he has the level of self-awareness to know that he should be asking, but he doesn't necessarily want to, because he wants things to fit his narrative. And of course, he has dealt with a lot of criticism on X, as a lot of Hatsune Miku fans are now saying that they feel the character is devalued by him, and because of his reputation, it is giving the character a bad name. And another point that people like to bring up is the fact that Hatsune Miku is canonically 16 years old, or 17, I believe 16, which again, I think is true. I don't know, a lot of people also claim that because she is a character that you can mold into anything that you like, it means that a lot of people...
I mean, as always, you guys know my take. I mean, it's an anime character. I don't care what age you say she is, or how she looks. It's an anime character. I really don't care. But, you know, in the context of like bringing it outside, you know, yeah, that makes it weirder, obviously.
People will headcanon her as adult if they're making certain Miku fan art or certain Miku designs, which is what a lot of people assumed he did when he married Miku. They assume that he is marrying the representation of an adult Miku.
I mean, does he even have like a character? Like, is she just basic Miku, or does he have like some kind of like own story for her character, or is she just like canvas Miku, basically?
Now, this turned out not to be true, because of course he's dressing her in the school uniform, and to give him the benefit of the doubt, he could just not be thinking about that. But when you see him write that he is considering her as his crush that he got rejected by when they were 13, 14 years old, it does make you think that there is something a little bit more sinister here. Now, Akihiko actually works as a local government employee with public elementary and junior high school children. Now,
yeah, that gets weird.
I don't really think that someone who has posted these things that suggest that they are attracted to someone of a much younger age, and also talks about how they dress up.
Eating is okay, but he has his justice, so eating becomes nothing, but making themselves keep more and more mad, so ignoring is important.
Their adult doll in school children's clothing and then go to the playground with it should be working around children. And it surprises me that he is still allowed to work around.
I was gonna say, like, I'm not surprised that they don't care about what you just said, but I'm surprised that, again, it's getting a lot of attention, so I'm sure they're getting contacted about it, and usually that would be enough to get the guy fired. Less for what he's into, but more for just, you know, having becoming popular and creating drama, I guess.
Children, considering that he has this reputation. Now, if you look at all of his profiles, he specifically writes in the description of his bio, private messages are not accepted from minors. And this makes me wonder, why do you need to say that? And I know this is like a bit of a reach, but it's like, as some...
Usually, like, some content creators say stuff like that, you know? Like no minors on my Discord server, no minors, I don't talk to minors or something like that, right? And well, you know, at first you might be, what? Then you think about it for a second and all the drama on the internet about stuff like this, I guess it makes sense. But for this guy to say that...
Someone who is like a content creator who has somewhat of an online following, I don't feel the need to say private messages are not accepted to minors because I'm not messaging minors. Like, I'm not going to be going out of my way to message underage people in that way. So that's kind of suspicious to me that he has that right after the fact that he works with children. I don't know. But I just have a weird feeling about it. I don't necessarily think that someone like this should be working with children. And I know, obviously, you can say it's not real, it's just fiction. But again, if you are involving real kids in this, in the real world, by putting this doll in places where kids will be, I'm afraid that does affect reality. I feel like really someone like this, and this is not meant to insult him at all, this is just a genuine point, someone like this I feel like would really benefit from having consistent therapy, because feeling like this is not normal, this is not healthy for you. It's not a case of like, oh, he's happy and he's doing what he loves. This is clearly someone who is mentally suffering, and I don't mean that in a cruel way, I just mean that in a genuine way, that you would think this way, because like I said, we've all gone through rejection.
Like, we didn't even need this whole... You know, we could have stopped at the beginning where she said he married us and Miku, right? Like, you know, like the only way that you could think the guy is still kind of okay mentally, if it was like some kind of joke or some prank or something like that, right? But no, he was serious about it, and right when you hear that, you can instantly be like a armchair therapist and be like, yeah, this guy has probably a lot of issues, this.
I've been rejected many times. It doesn't bother me. It's very normal. It's a very human thing to happen to you. You could be the most attractive person ever. You could be the most cool, funny person ever. You'll still get rejected. It's not a reason to behave creepy and to basically do things that make other people really uncomfortable and put other people's safety at risk just for your own happiness. But yes, so that is the story about the man who married Hatsune.
I'm gonna say I still feel like he's probably not the creepiest guy. He's probably like the creepy popular guy, since a lot of people seem to know the story, but I am sure that there must be like a bunch of other Miku obsessed guy kind of like him that are even worse, but we just don't know about.
Miku and what is going on with him right now. I hope that this was interesting to watch, and please do let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
Yeah, I guess all I knew is that he married Miku. That's all I knew about the story. And I feel like there was something from like 10 years ago or something. I think I remember like learning about it before I even got into Vocaloid. So, yeah. I mean, again, my only point to all this is that yes, from like some of the different stories, the guy has definitely some issues, and there's very real possibility that, you know, he's definitely like into it in a more like lewd way, right? But I still feel like the stuff with the doll, it's like, how do we know it is an actual sex doll? We don't, do we? Like, I don't know. But at the same time, yeah, this guy definitely bangs his doll. I do believe that. I do believe that. So I guess it is one. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, well, interesting video. I learned more about this than I knew of before. Could be a subject that's interesting to come back to, I guess. You know, like this kind of like people who marry dolls and how far they take it. Yeah. Let's think this reverse. What do you feel when you are in lingerie shop? Miku are entering, they are making the man sit on a wheelchair. I mean, that sounds weird. Miku is alive in this context. I mean, if Miku is alive, it's all good, I guess. Well, no, because she's 16. Okay, it gets way too complicated. Alright, interesting case. Interesting video. Okay, well, that was something. But again, like, you know, on one side you want to say, you know, let people do what they want, even if it seems kind of crazy, like marrying a doll, right? But at the same time, yeah, like if someone is doing it unironically, it's obvious that yeah, there's probably like a lot wrong with them, I guess. You know, it seems obvious to me, at least. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna take a quick break before we continue. Next, we have a video about copyright infringement of Suzumiya Haruhi. Okay, so a lot of bootleg stuff, I guess. But yeah, I'm coming back in 5 minutes. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for the wait. Also, I'm realizing that for some reason I have the wrong thumbnail for this. It's the one from last time. So I need to remake it real quick. Give me a second as I just remake the thumbnail. I don't know how I messed up, but I kinda messed up. So I need this one. I think I made it, but I just forgot to put it on or something. Or it's maybe when I uploaded it, it just didn't save. It does that sometime. This one. This one. Here we go. And how about this one? Okay. But yeah, once again, some pretty interesting topic today. And as I've said, if you guys know any channels that talk about any kind of subject like this, or videos, or if you have any subject you'd like me to dive into, let me know, so I can build future playlists. Obviously, it's kind of hard for me to find these kind of channels, and the good one especially, since I can't really pre-watch, right? So it's helpful when you guys have stuff to let me know about. Here we go. Lazy thumbnail. Here we go. I mean, lazy. I don't know what else you want me to do. We're watching videos, and here is some of the video we're watching. I mean, it's not very creative, but it makes sense to me. I like simple thumbnails, to be honest. Okay, so next video is one about Haruhi Suzumiya. And yeah, specifically this is the copyright infringement of Suzumiya Haruhi. I guess it's gonna be about bootleg other stuff by KYDB.
In 2008, the Beijing Olympics was the big topic of conversation everywhere, and Haruhi was at its peak popularity. However, I don't think anyone would ever expect the two of them to ever relate with each other. But on the beginning of 2008, this appeared. This is the cover of a Chinese publication where the title translates to Fly Beyond Your Dreams, Instructional Olympic Knowledge for Middle Schoolers. And it was a 154-page, 23-chapter-long book talking about the Olympics, and for some reason, on its cover,
she looks very weird.
You have a Haruhi, but not quite. It first came to attention in the Japanese internet when a topic about it was opened in the end of January on the website Enjoy Korea, a website that allowed Japanese and Korean people to interact with each other by the means of machine translation. Unsurprisingly, it was mocked. Some Koreans were bewildered, although they admit Korea is also guilty of similar things, and then some Chinese people started appearing and everyone acted very friendly as you would expect. But then the cover of the book started making the rounds online. It was posted on several blogs and several otaku related websites. Apparently you could buy it through Chinese Amazon. It also had a big amount of threads in 2channel, becoming the most talked topic on the website for a little while, and the girl on the cover ended up gaining the name of Suzumiya Haruhi, referencing the Chinese city of Haruhi. Reactions unsurprisingly were mostly of mockery. People also found that the drawing was indeed traced from an illustration released.
Like, it's traced, but it's like the face is fucked up.
In the March 2006 edition of Animeju, Haruhi became talked about enough that not even 2 weeks after people started learning about her, Kumeta Koji referenced it in his manga Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei.
Of course he would. I talked about it literally recently how much I like the work from this author, Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei or Kakushigoto are pretty great. But having watched multiple seasons of the Shaft anime of Zetsubo Sensei, it's, really hard to watch as a foreigner, but I'm sure even like today, if a Japanese person try to watch it, it might be hard because it is full of stuff like this, which I mean reference of events that just happened at the time. So when I watched it, I had a fan sub that would like try to explain everything, but it's insane how like they were basically just constant reference to news of the time, which is like the mid-2000s, I guess, and it makes it an art piece of media to get into, but I also think it's part of the charm. It's a timepiece.
Which was eventually adapted to the anime, where the secrets of the country are handed to an elite squad who have no interest in real women. A female spy from a certain country tries to seduce them but fails. After learning about their preferences, she tries to attract them with the latest goods created from her country, and it looks like this.
I don't remember it. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen the show.
And unsurprisingly, it fails. It became a joke about China taking and creating copies of copyrighted materials, and in true Zetsubo Sensei fashion, it wasn't the only time it was referenced.
それでは今回のお別れの一言、絶望ネームハルピンさん、その他たくさんの方からのリクエストで、実は私、
Hiroshi,
ダメなんです。
One of the things that stand out on the book cover is that Haruhi holds a racket, and there are a few jokes regarding it, but something much bigger happened at the same time Haruhi appeared online. Throughout December 2007 to January 2008, 10 people living in Chiba and Hyogo fell ill due to eating gyoza imported from the Chinese company Tenyo Food Processing. Amongst them, a 5-year-old who fell unconscious and ended up in critical condition. The frozen gyoza contained pesticide in the form of metamidophos, which is categorized as Class 1 highly hazardous by the World Health Organization. 19 companies retrieved 622 tons of food from the 3,700 tons imported, spread throughout 88 different products. Investigations were carried out throughout each prefecture, finding more pesticide in the gyoza, and some packages even had small holes in them as well. Whether the poison entered the gyoza during production or importation was unclear at first, so both countries were accusing each other on a back and forth to the point it became a diplomatic issue. However, when Chinese people started falling ill as well, the Chinese government launched a full-scale investigation after the Olympics, and in 2010, a former employee of the factory was arrested for mixing the metamidophos into the gyoza using syringes and was motivated by his dissatisfaction over his salary, treatment towards him, and trouble with colleagues.
Okay, I thought this was going in a different direction. He was going to say, like, is dissatisfied with the treatment of Haruhi and this shitty tray start over or something. Okay.
And he did it as a way to vent his anger. And it all ended in 2014 as he was sentenced for life imprisonment. It became a huge issue and heavily damaged the trust of Chinese food imports amongst Japanese people. Imports of Chinese vegetables saw a decrease of 25% in 2008, as well as impacting the Japanese frozen food market itself. Tenyo Foods ceased operation and the factory was demolished in 2013. So what does this all have to do with Haruhi? Here's a little bit of lore as told by numerous pieces of ASCII art that started appearing. This is Suzumiya Haruhi no Gyoza, the dumpling of Suzumiya Haruhi. In 2008, a girl came from the People's Republic of China to Japan to spread how wonderful Chinese products are. A high school girl that makes gyoza poison with metamidophos for the protagonist, Chong. She has no interest in normal gyoza and Japanese products. You kidding? Stop! Asahina, you bastard! And Koizumi, alternative version, Poison Me, were sent from China to observe Haruhi under the orders of a certain red political party. She created the Sekai Oi ni Moriageru Soshiki no Dan, shortened as SOS Dan, which stands for the Squad of General Secretaries that greatly invigorate the road. If you don't eat the gyoza she makes, it becomes a diplomatic issue and leads to the formation of Chinese space. Chon is frequently made to eat the frozen gyoza and passes out from it. As you have noticed, a huge amount of ASCII art started appearing, some of which got fan art itself. And even the cover of the Olympics book was expanded to add other characters as well. Haruhi's face even started affecting other characters unrelated to the
That's Reina from Igarashi.
Haruhi series, as if the poisonous fumes from the gyoza started spreading like disease. When the website JCast News reached out for Kadokawa, who releases the Haruhi novels, regarding this incident, the management department replied with something along the lines of, "It looks like Haruhi. The uniform and poses are similar, but the drawings themselves are nothing alike. Comparing Haruhi to this is just disrespectful to the artist." God damn. Even if it's obviously tracing, if what's being depicted ends up not similar, you can't really point out infringement. We'll see what to do after we obtain the book and check the contents to see if characters are being used or not. Probably not. On the Amazon page you could see a bit of the contents of the book and it was just presenting athletes and venues. JCast News also tried contacting the Chinese Olympics organizing committee but got no response, and
It's probably not that deep, right? It's probably like just one guy that was contracted to do this. We did this tracing, and you know, no one knew what Haruhi is, so no one cut it. and then it was part of the book, that's it.
Chinese Embassy Culture Department as well, but they couldn't confirm if it was official and decided not to comment about copyright. The Japanese Olympics Committee and Kadokawa also didn't think it was officially issued by the estate, and then things died down regarding Haruhi. Now, that was more of a general Japanese reaction to Haruhi, but I also ended up finding some Chinese comments along the way, and it really did felt like Chinese otaku were frustrated by this, for I saw a decent number of people criticizing Haruhi, criticizing the publication, and feeling embarrassed by it. By the way, I think someone thought I knew Chinese from a previous video. Sorry, I don't. I rely on Google Translate for all that. It seems that the book can be bought online, used in China nowadays. Being a Chinese otaku at the time seems to have been complicated because of governmental restrictions on translated foreign comics. Kadokawa even hired a Chinese artist to remake the Haruhi manga, although it was short-lived and never got a full tankobon release. The July...
That's really freaking weird. I mean, it happens that some manga get like different versions by different artists, but for this context...
2008, New Type magazine, they used Haruhi as evidence that Haruhi has been spreading around the world, non-officially, while also bringing other examples. The ones on the left are from 2006, when a picture of Haruhi was used in a protest, and that photo was used in a French newspaper. However, I don't think any...
Incompréhension de l'école des 3 enfants abattus à Gaza. Oof. Yeah, it's something about 3 kids killed in Gaza. And I guess they're using that image. And the text on the image says, against the children murder.
Company would stoop any low to think that would be a matter of copyright. The yellow one, on the other hand, is a different story because it looks like this. Russia! What did you do to my wife? Is what this comment says, but this is actually from a neighboring country, Belarus. This is a series of wafer cookies that were released by what seems to be one of the largest enterprises in the sector of baking goods in the country, Minsk Yepron. I hope I pronounced that right. It became a topic of conversation about 3 to 4 months after Haruhi first appeared online, and it was named by online users as Suzumiya Haruhinov, Haruhichov, and even Haruhiski. It's cuter than Haruhi. It isn't! The eyes are gross. The eyes and the nose are horrible. Yes, there are several comments about her face. It made me think once again that you shouldn't draw nose holes on second dimension drawings. Sekai wo oi ni sekka suru Suzumiya Haruhishov no dan, which means Suzumiya Haruhishov's squad to make the world pretty communistic. And there were also some people admiring Haruhi's popularity across the world. At one point, users started trying to fix Haruhichov's face. Oh, this looks okay. This looks kinda cute. Oh, they made it horrible. Oh, they made it worse. Oh, they fixed it. Yeah, the original pose was not really hard to find. As I was searching for information on this, I found an Anime News Network article where someone in the comments claimed their friend was the one who scanned the candy first. By the time it was making its rounds online, it was still a pretty new product, and there were advertisements running on Minsk's metros for about 3 months from these comments. It also turns out that
this is pretty crazy. I mean, I'm sure this has happened to like a lot more characters. I remember watching a video once about like Harry Potter bootleg. So like anything popular gets it on a bootleg. And I'm sure it's happened to a lot of anime characters, yeah, but this is still like such a rabbit hole.
A lot of the art used for these packagings were traced or outright stolen. There is a very good in-depth Twitter thread by the account Toho Hijacks in the outside world, and that is because the other really notable wafer packaging with stolen pen art is clearly Hakurei Reimu from the Toho Project series, but with the creepy face added on. Another thread, started by the account Jack Jackson SOS Done, also points out the existence of a fruit jelly product that makes use of a blue Haruhi. Some other user, very nice at Kagami I Like You, says they remember the design of the wafer cookies being changed. And it was, I'm going to guess they didn't want any future trouble, and considering Haruhi aired in Russia and Belarus, it was just a little bit too obvious, so there were heavy modifications done to the drawing.
Still, you can tell, yeah, like they didn't make a new one, they just kind of changed the character design.
You could almost not realize this drawing was based on Haruhi if they didn't outright use her before. Reimu, on the other hand, she's quite different, but the hair tubes are too distinct. Apparently, the Reimu one was called Olga and the Haruhi one was called Yulia. Now that it came to this, I want to see all the Haruhis across the road. Yeah, how about we go back to China again? This is Legend of the Dragon God, also known as Tales of Dragon. It is a Chinese MMORPG released in July 25, 2008, but has
Damn, that looks kind of nostalgic.
closed down for a good while.
I've never played a game like
Seems
this.
that one of its main points was its pet system, but I'm really not too sure. What I'm sure of is that this game became notable in Japanese message boards because of its incredibly blatant use of copyrighted characters. On their website, they were listing NPCs, and I'm fair.
It's kind of like ahead of its time, right? In the last 10 years, mobile games started doing that a lot, right? You would see mobile game ad with like a slightly altered version of a popular character, and the game looked like shit, but it used popular characters of different things that they definitely didn't license.
Really sure that Princess Peach drawing is straight up taken from a Nintendo DS game. Aren't there other characters? Is there no Haruhi? Asked someone, and lo and behold, there was Haruhi. Or should I say Yo-Yo? Apparently one of the first NPCs you talked to in the game who guided new players and answered any questions they might have had. At the very least, they thought this Haruhi was cute. I just thought about it, but isn't Haruhi's a little bit more big-breasted than usual? When I take a good look at it, why does Haruhi have boobs as big as Mikuru? Are they delusions from the artist? Yes,
To be honest, that's what they always do. Like, let's be honest. One thing you always find with artists is that they really like a character, they want to make a fan art of a character, but I feel like 80% of artists who do fan art of existing character, they can't help themselves but make them bigger breasted, which, you know, is a shame. Because I like the characters they are, you know, and I'm fine with it because like artists can do what they want. It seems to always be the preference to just make it bigger, you know.
Comments from 2008. Yo-Yo does seem to be a little bit more endowed compared to Suzumiya Haruhi, and it's not the only time it happened. I like the house that has a picture of her face in it. This isn't at the level of just plagiarism, right? And this sentiment seemed to be correct because only a few days after it was brought up on places like 2channel, the NPC portraits were quickly taken down from the website. You would think that they would just ignore it considering how blatant it was, but turns out this game was published by Shanda Interactive Entertainment Limited, who at the time was the largest online game company in China. At that point, they were already listed in the US stock market. A company that big stepping on the foot of not only Kadokawa, who released the Haruhi novels, but Shueisha of Shonen Jump, Nintendo, and even Warner Brothers probably wouldn't end up well if they kept it up, so they decided to lay low, which makes you wonder why did they do it in the first place. Now let's talk about this.
Again, it's either like they thought they could get away with it, or it was just a single artist that did it, and the people didn't really, like the people who commissioned it didn't really realize.
It's not Haruhi, who is very similar to Haruhi, but there are still some differences. Just like Haruhi-chov, for some reason someone drew a nose on her, that's horrible. Just like Yo-Yo, her boobs are pretty big, that's nice. But the most notable thing is the uniform. What exactly is this uniform? Well, it's this. It's the uniform of the Republic of China Military Police, also known as the Taiwanese Military Police. And you would think this is...
I see. That's even worse than...
fan art if I didn't show you this. This is a pamphlet that became a topic of conversation at around June 2009 that was used to recruit new troops for the Taiwanese military police. And I guess it makes sense to make her chest that big if you're trying to attract the attention of young men. And people online reacted like this. It's preferable to... Haruhi. At least it's better than that thing from China. If you told me this was like from worst Korea, I'd be pretty mad. Isn't it mysterious? Taiwan Military Police Haruhi, unsurpassable wall. Haruhi. If it's really Taiwan, I don't get annoyed. If it's Taiwan, it's okay. It's okay. I wonder why.
Yes.
If it's Taiwan, I can forgive it.
They're definitely trolling.
Just by knowing it's from Taiwan, I don't get mad. What a mystery. Well, okay. I didn't know Japan and Taiwan were homies like that. There wasn't any clamor about this one. It was just...
Definitely only it's obvious that it's just rage bait for like actual, from mainland Chinese, right? Since obviously, you know, this whole thing between Taiwan and China, I don't know if you've heard of it. I've heard of it.
something that happened, and apparently, from my research, they did use this drawing besides recruitment. I found a 2016 Facebook post where the picture was used to wish a senior member a happy Mother's Day. So at this point, it might just be a stock image they have and use it whenever it feels appropriate. Suzumiya Haruhi no Gekito. Gekito meaning an intense fight. It is a doujin game first sold in Comiket 73 on December 2007. It was consigned to be sold in stores, and around 20 days after, the Circle Souvenir Cirque were contacted by Kadokawa and they had to stop sales and abandon all development about
Really?
the game. It is the only actual case I could confirm where the product became unavailable due to copyright issues. The shop sales might have sounded a few alarms, but it wasn't something unusual with doujin
I
games.
was gonna say, I thought like, as weird as Japanese with copyright law and extremely can be, we all know that like the doujin side of things like actually kind of works and people can make money off their doujin stuff. So surprising.
Although there are times where companies have sent copyright notices, usually the creation of content like this is purposefully ignored due to it being mutually beneficial. Haruhi was a giant, so of course there were many Haruhi doujin games, and none of them seem to have received anything from Kadokawa. One blog even thought the reason why this game in particular received a takedown
Did they use like actual art, official art?
was because the game was well made. The game was already released by the point Souvenir Cirque was hit with the takedown, and you know how things go with stuff like this, so it wasn't hard at all to find it, and it is a quite well worked on fan game. Its gameplay is similar to Power Stone for the Dreamcast, with
really
10
looks pretty good,
characters,
huh?
8 prominent Haruhi characters.
It is a whole world like doujin games, and I'm not talking about like, you know, Lude One, but yeah, it is really a world that we have been very, very little exposed in the West. I'm sure there's a few translated, but probably very few, and some really look quality like this one, right? It's really something that interests me because again, I feel like, as we all know, most of the official anime game or manga game tend to be pretty bad. Like, majority of them are really not that interesting. But I feel like in the world of doujin game made by passionate fan, there's a lot more potentially great stuff. But again, most of it is like, you know, pretty obscure, especially for us in the West. But this is a rabbit hole.
Plus Izumi Konata and Kogami Akira from Lucky Star. Every character plays differently, every character has 2 unique special attacks, and which one you use depends on if you grab an item that changes your character costume. Most being references to Haruhi scenes, but sometimes references to other KyoAni shows or Noiji Ito works. There's a story mode, several items that can be equipped, obtained through mission modes, arcade modes, and it could be played with up to 6 people at the same time. Every character had their own voice actor, with the shouting cone attack having their own unique line for each character.
This genuinely looks pretty good. I mean, again, it reminds me there was also, I think it was a doujin Higurashi game that also looked pretty interesting, a fighting game.
Now, I am going to overstep my boundaries because I find quite interesting that a little less than 4 months after Souvenir Cirque had to take their game down and stop development,
Did they release their
people
own?
could pre-order the Nintendo Wii game called Suzumiya Haruhi no Gekido, which is a dancing game that has a name that's extremely close to Suzumiya Haruhi no Gekido. And
That's
I
what
am
it is.
here wondering if that has anything to do with any of this, but I don't really know anything. If you're
Possible.
wondering about what happened to the circle afterwards, well, currently they have the games Kuruwaruru Sigma and Azure Reflections in many different platforms.
You have a tour game, I see.
Including it being localized to Western audiences, so if the takedown affected them, they were able to recover quite well.
I mean, they seem to be able to make some pretty good games, so...
When it comes to Haruhi and the topic of plagiarism, there are places where people bring up one of the most famous scenes of the show. One that has 130 million views on YouTube. It is God
Of course, yeah, peak.
knows from the episode Live Alive, because that scene is a recreation of the finale of the movie released a year prior called Rinda Rinda Rinda.
Oh, yeah,
a
yeah.
movie
Yeah.
about
I've actually seen that movie a year or two ago. It's pretty fun, yeah. It's pretty fun. It's more like Kiran, I guess.
a schoolgirl band in their senior year who lost their guitarist due to hand injury and their vocalist due to internal conflict. They decide to carry out their show in the school festival after recruiting the first girl they saw passing, who was a Korean exchange student who wasn't fluent in Japanese. And the movie goes through the 3 days of the school festival and their efforts to prepare for their show while dealing with many of youth's hurdles. The movie ends with the band rushing through a sudden surge of heavy rain to reach the auditorium for their performance, where other students are also gathering and culminating in their show where they sing Rinda Rinda by the Blue Hearts. Considering there is no rain in the novel, it is pretty clear that this scene and its whole build-up to it was entirely based on the movie.
Maybe, but also, like, I don't know if the rain element is the most conclusive, right? I mean, rain always just adds to the drama of everything, so it's a classic anime thing.
However, plagiarism might be too strong of a word.
Definitely.
From what I saw, whenever someone claimed the scene to be
That feels like a very classic music story lead up to the actual
a
performance.
ripoff, it was used mainly by people who wanted to criticize the director. For people who simply praise the franchise and the scene, the word homage comes to play. It's all on the eye of the beholder. Things get a little bit more complicated when we talk about the other extremely famous Haruhi related moment. I think I am quite comfortable with saying that Hare Hare Yukai
Okay.
is the most famous anime-related dance there is. It is one of the strongest evidences.
I mean, I feel like, if I'm to be honest, back then sure, but these days I don't really know. These days I feel like there's probably like some that have overtaken it.
That at one point, Haruhism covered this planet and her plans were progressing smoothly. However, the suspicions that the dance wasn't original existed from very early on. People thought there were moves taken from Pink Lady, moves taken from the ending credits,
You're going too far, come on. Like, most dance aren't originals at this point. Like, every time I watch Idol Group, they all do the same move over and over again, and you could accuse them of all, you know, stealing from each other at this point. I mean, come on.
of the 2005 television drama The Queen's Classroom, but most of them taken from the idol group Betty's Kobo. If you're wondering who the guy on the corner is, that's the director of Haruhi, Yamamoto Yutaka, who was responsible for directing and choreographing Hare Hare Yukai. He admitted himself that the moves were stolen. He did so in a blog post regarding the Betty's Kobo's
Again, is it stolen? Like, there's only so many moves you do in dance choreography, and you're bound to just, like, most of your choreography being moves that have been done in others. I don't know.
choreographer passing, who went by Natsu Mayumi, saying that without her, there would never be a Haruhi dance, the Hare Hare Yukai, and recounting the time he met her and he apologized for copying her. And she replied in a somewhat sarcastic way, "Yeah, you did, didn't you?" But due to being indebted to her, he invited her as a choreographer for the movie he directed, Watashi no Yasashiku Nai Senpai, and things seem to have ended amicably. The director is a very controversial figure, but honestly, I'm not really that interested in him, so I have nothing more to
Well, I am now that you're telling me it's controversial, yeah.
say regarding this, so I would like to close this video with something that I found very interesting while doing research. The name Suzumiya is real, but as it's written in the name Suzumiya Haruhi, there are apparently no Japanese families ever recorded with that name. However, it was confirmed that there are people in Japan named Suzumiya in the same way it's written in Suzumiya Haruhi, and that is because apparently foreigners
I was literally about to say, I can see this happening with people being finally
in Japan have the choice to choose their name, and some people pick names based on anime characters. And a Suzumiya was confirmed when a picture of a newspaper started making rounds online. The picture shows that the person named Suzumiya opened a petition looking for a missing person. Yes, the jokes write themselves. Considering there was no records of this way of writing Suzumiya in past documents, and the fact that they were looking for someone who was previously Chinese, it is very possible that the only confirmed person named Suzumiya
I used to be Chinese, was it? Is that a joke?
Written in the same way as Suzumiya Haruhi in Japan is of Chinese origin. And considering the things I talk about in this video, I find this kind of funny. Of course, despite this making rounds online in 2022, jokes are never forgotten, so of course people made references to Harubin. Another interesting thing is that if I am to believe this tweet from a fan of Muff Love, the name Suzumiya as it's written in Suzumiya Haruhi was first used for the characters Suzumiya Akane and Suzumiya Haruka from Kimi ga Nozomu Eien. After Yoshimune Koki, one of the writers of the visual novel, researched if the name existed or not and named the characters as such. After he concluded it didn't. And it was only after The Melancholy of Suzumiya Haruhi released that the name became quite popular. However, for Haruhi, the inspiration for the name Suzumiya very likely came from a character created by Takemoto Izumi, who Tanigawa Nagaru, writer of the Haruhi novels, named as a huge inspiration for his characters in a 2006 interview for Yahoo Japan Books. In a short story called Michi no Mannaka ni Iwa, released in the August 2001 issue of Gekkan Comic Beam, there is an energetic and loud twin-tail girl called Suzumiya Wahiro, and keeping her company there is the deadpan, level-headed boy Kamioka, who usually gets dragged into carrying the burden of Suzumiya's antics. And they appear in a story about a huge boulder that suddenly started appearing when Wahiro commutes to school and the mystery surrounding it. Well, I think that's all I have to say.
Damn, that was a rabbit hole. And yet again, I assume like this is far from an isolated thing. I'm sure you could make a video like this about other popular franchise. I imagine like I can just think of like something like Dragon Ball. The amount of stuff like this that you could cover, I assume, is pretty massive. The amount of bootleg and stories like this must be something, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Very fun topic. Yeah, very fun topic. This channel is great. I'm really glad I discovered this channel because some great topic. Okay, alright. Next we have a channel I haven't watched in a while, which is a good thing because there'll be a lot of video to catch up to, maybe on stream. This is how Yankee joined Japan's most famous idol group, Tanaka, which I definitely know the name, but top of my head I can't quite remember like what she's about. She's a voice actress too, I think. Yeah, maybe. So let's see what's up. I love Yankee girl.
She was often called a little devil for her seductive good looks, but I think she's more like an ageless vampire. Make way for the singing princess of Morning Musume, or she'll
she was in Morning
kick your
Musume.
butt. Stay tuned for this one. You might learn something surprising. In this episode of Otaku Files, we talk about the one and only Tanaka Reina. Most of us outside of Japan may not be aware of some of the more interesting personalities within the Japanese otaku landscape. So I thought I'd do a little video series and try to shed some light on these individuals.
We had watched like 1 or 2 episodes before, I think.
This is Otaku Files. Morning Musume, Japan's legendary idol group responsible for providing us with a number of famous names. And among those names is a special person that we're going to be talking about. Someone known particularly for their unparalleled vocal skills and seemingly ageless beauty, Tanaka Reina. Having joined Morning Musume as a part of their 6th gen in 2003, she was described by Morning Musume's producer Tsunku as being the
the king. His music is so good.
Closest to the ideal Morning Musume member. If you were looking for reliability, you didn't need to look any further. Despite her small frame, Reina's vocal capabilities, especially regarding rhythm, pitch, and expression, were unmatched, and because of that, she would most often be made the main vocalist for the songs she participated in. In fact, even for the song she debuted in, Shabondama, she was the main vocalist, as well as being made.
So I've definitely had a bunch of time with how much Morning Musume used to react to on the old channel. Yeah. That's why her name is familiar, probably. I don't know if you're watching this, yeah. You probably introduced me to her and told me a lot about her, yeah.
Center, the singing princess indeed. Obviously, this must have been a lot of pressure on Reina, and no doubt this must have been viewed as controversial at the time for placing the spotlight right on someone new, but it became a memorable track for her. What also made Reina clearly stand out was her personality. Having kept speaking in her thick Hakata dialect, aka Hakata Ben, Reina was very honest, sometimes to the point of just being blunt. This was something fans could clearly see in her behavior, including when she was performing.
順調ですよ、うちは。順調だけいっぱい子供できるじゃない
It's also made for good TV. Reina was just seemingly a pillar of mental stability, which is also probably why Tsunku felt it was okay to put so much focus on her.
I mean, considering Morning Musume has a lot of funny and kind of weird personalities, from what I've seen, mostly from the songs, I'm not surprised.
Of course, when talking about Tanaka Reina, we need to talk about her looks. With her cute little devil smile, let's face it, Reina's beautiful, and she's been able to maintain her youthful appearance so well that many newbies are shocked when they find out her age. However, Reina
It's called plastic surgery, no?
Reina's appearance and strong attitude, while no doubt being of benefit to her in many ways, hasn't always worked in her favor when it comes to being a member of Morning Musume, especially in the beginning. We'll talk more about that in just a bit, but first we need to ask, why does Reina speak in Hakata Ben? Well, that's because she's from the city of Fukuoka, located in the prefecture of the same name. Now, Fukuoka is known for many things, like ramen and open food stalls called yatai, but it's also known for something less socially appealing: Yankee. I've talked about Yankees before in previous videos, but simply put, they're classified as young delinquents that have a love for loud vehicles and a tendency to squat in front of konbinis. You do see them a lot in anime and manga, and supposedly the prefecture of Fukuoka is home to a lot of them. They have a pretty distinctive look, and visually speaking, Reina seemed to fit the bill, and that basically became her character. But it turns out there was an element of truth to her quote-unquote Yankee background, with Reina talking about some Yankee-like episodes back from her elementary and middle school days within a TV show, like when she was called out by a girl who was at a leader level who looked to start something, only to have Reina shout, "Cut it out, or I'll beat the crap out of you." Maybe it's because she earned that girl's respect, but apparently the girl started to talk to Reina normally from the next day. Oh, and Reina's also shown an old picture of herself wearing tokofuku, which is a long coat normally worn by biker gangs known as bosozoku. I can just hear those bloody horns. Perhaps she was heavily influenced by her surroundings, but from elementary school, she certainly liked to dress in a way that was essentially a big
That is one of a British looking at it.
FU to society.
Kind of funny.
But as Tsunku once even said, Reina has the face of a Yankee, but the heart of an honor student. Her Yankee background can't erase the fact that she was a hard-working and dedicated member of Morning Musume who would constantly watch her senpais practice to see what she could use. Having the Yankee character pushed onto her from the beginning, Reina was often teased and made fun of. For example, being asked who she beat up today. Although the Yankee character allowed Reina to just be her straightforward self, like I mentioned, Yankees aren't viewed very positively within Japanese society. For example, there was a lot of criticism online from Japanese netizens when she opened up about the kind of clothes she used to wear. It seems that some thought she was just a gyaru, but these quote-unquote revelations ended up changing their minds. Now, interestingly, Reina started getting into Morning Musume thanks to a member that was also labeled as sort of a Yankee because of how she looked, Goto Maki. Although as far far as I'm
Maki.
aware, Maki doesn't share a similar Yankee
great.
background. Reina heard that someone similar to her, someone with blonde hair, had entered Morning Musume and decided to check them out. Finding Maki to be really cute, and after hearing Koi no dancer Saito, Reina became a huge fan of her and started to buy her goods and collect her cards. When
Okay.
Morning Musume came to play in Fukuoka, Reina went to see them live and even ended up shedding tears when she got to see Maki in person. Afterwards, she would write about her experience in her diary and also write that one day she hopes not to be an audience member but to be the one on stage singing.
dream.
And unbelievably, not too long after that, she would actually get into Morning Musume. I'm telling you, it was just meant to be. Speaking of Reina joining Morning Musume, there's actually an interesting story there. The first time she took the audition, it was actually for a spot within the 5th gen in 2001. But the surprising thing was, she was a year underage. Having said that, even though she wrote about it in her diary, Reina didn't actually believe her application would pass through the screening process anyway, and after speaking about it casually with her mother, decided to apply just for the sake of it. Except, it did go through. To keep a long story short, Reina would actually pass both her interviews and was told she would be able to join the training camp. Upon hearing this, she freaked out. Not because she was happy, but wondering how on earth she was going to keep her age a secret. Reina went to the
Like, how do they not know her age? Like, wouldn't they know this during the interview and looking at her files or something?
meeting place, which was Tokyo Station, and on purpose left her health insurance card, which has her age on it, at home, thinking that she'd just tell them she forgot it. However, Reina and her mother would end up being confronted by the staff, with them asking if Reina was still in elementary school. It turns out that someone who knew Reina saw that she was going to be a part of the training camp because her face was shown on TV, and decided to call in asking how she managed to go through.
Of course.
Wonder who made that call. In any case, they forced Reina to drop out. When they started to take auditions for the 6th gen, Reina was now at the qualified age.
Damn, you would, like, I imagine she was probably thinking, I blew it, because now, even if I try again, they're going to remember me lying and, you know, no way they're going to accept me again. Yeah, that would be bad.
But was actually reluctant to try again, thinking that they wouldn't accept her because of what had happened before. But it was her mother that managed to convince Reina to try again, saying that if her application was actually rejected, then it would be okay to just give up. And of course, as we all know, it actually did go through, and Reina would make it all the way to the end. Reina felt that compared to her elementary school years, in middle school, she had become ugly, and with her hair a lot darker, also lacked what made her visually appealing during the 5th gen auditions. So throughout the audition, she genuinely couldn't understand how she was still advancing. Now, like I talked about in the video I made about Michishige Sayumi, when Reina along with Sayumin and Kamei Eri were told that they had all passed, they weren't exactly jumping for joy. It turns out, in Reina's case, she actually wasn't happy. She explains at the time she heard they passed, what immediately crossed her mind was Fukuoka. She would need to move away from her hometown, which meant leaving her friends and also her father. Of course, the excitement of being able to join Morning Musume would eventually catch up to her, and Reina thought about how she would tell her friends that she managed to get in, but she explains that the whole thing didn't really hit her during that time. Reina would graduate from Morning Musume and Hello Project in May of 2013, with it reported that she wanted to concentrate on her band Labenda. However, Reina's initial plans after graduating was actually just to go back to Fukuoka. Although there are certain reasons she wants to keep confidential, Reina didn't really care to be in the entertainment business per se. She just really wanted to join Morning Musume, and she achieved that. Within the group, Reina had pretty much achieved everything she wanted to do. Essentially, she was
10 years in it.
satisfied and wasn't sure what her future with Morning Musume would look like anymore, and was just casually like, yeah, I want to graduate. Typical straightforward Reina. She had no plans to do anything after that, but after several tries, Tsunku managed to convince her that it would be a waste if she just completely left the entertainment world, which is why Labenda ended up being formed. Labenda ended up going on hiatus in 2019, but Reina is still active. I'll leave some links in the description box below so you can find out what she's up to now. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I honestly love how
good video, even though I wish she had gone a bit more in depth. It seems to kind of skip everything from like once she's actually in. I was kind of interested in maybe a deeper look. But yeah, I guess it's only 10 minutes, so you can't really do a deeper look. But interesting. So she's not really a Yankee for real. Like, what would be actually interesting is someone who used to be a real Yankee fighting and doing all the stuff, right? But she's still an interesting character, yeah. Definitely. Okay, good video. As I said, we should watch a lot more videos from this channel. I think there's a lot of interesting case here, and again, it's been like quite a while for me of watching this channel. Yeah, I've missed a ton of videos, so maybe I should do like a dedicated stream to checking out like a lot of the videos. Yeah, I think that would be good. Yeah, a ton of them look interesting. Like obviously they're very surface level videos, right? It doesn't go into like a full career deep dive, which is the kind of videos I love, but I know there's not many channels doing it. Hello, Unfiltered. Next week? Why next week? What's going on next week? So yeah, I should definitely check out more from Neon John. And again, if you guys know any channels that do like full career deep dive of some artist or some seiyuu or some, you know, interesting characters, I guess, you know, from this side of the otaku culture, don't hesitate. I'm definitely very interested. But again, yeah, Neon John seems like a good springboard, you know, like it's like an overview of someone to get you interested, and then you can do more in-depth look at things, I guess. But yeah, good video. I think we'll leave it at this one today though. Yeah, it's fun. So we watched a lot of good stuff. I'll do another one next week, definitely. Maybe again I'll do like dedicated Neon John videos next week, so we can cover like many different individuals like this. I think that would be a good choice, yeah. Like he says, I make B-rate video about Japan. Interesting way to put it. I think they're good. I don't know if I'd call them B-rate. So yeah, good stuff. As always, everybody, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. Tomorrow Sunday stream, come watch. I'll see you guys next time. See you.